Edinburgh Castle was once the residence of Scottish monarchs and now serves mostly as a museum. It stands 443 feet or 135 meters above sea level and overlooks the city of Edinburgh from a volcanic crag called Castle Rock, occupied by humans since at least the Iron Age. Just outside the castle, Downbridge is a large open area called the Edinburgh Castle Esplanade, and one lady standing there will buy a castle's entry ticket and hire a headphone to listen to all activities of the castle. In this esplanade, grandstand seating is installed annually for an international military music festival, which is called the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo, and for other summer concert. The lady is now entering the portcullis gate with the electronic or radio headphone on her ears. Castle's defense were strengthened by the construction of portcullis gate, and the last monarch to stay overnight in the Edinburgh Castle was Charles I in 1633. The lady, this is the castle's Argyle Tower with cannons, 6 cannons, and on the other side of these 6 cannons, she will find a big cannon which is fired every day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The lady has reached a viewpoint above, and there many guns are also placed. She is looking at the view of the Edinburgh city. These guns are placed as showpieces, not fired. But there is another gun we will tell you later, which is fired every day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now we should know some things about the Edinburgh Castle. The castle sits atop a volcano. It is most besieged place in the Great Britain. The Scottish crown jewels were lost in the castle for years but later on found out. The castle is haunted by the ghost of Lone Bagpiper, who entered the tunnel but never returned, and his music is heard sometimes. There is a gun that is kept time since 1861. The Edinburgh Palace or castle remains the most popular with over 2.2 million visitors in 2019, and Queen Anne building runs even for the schools. The castle is run and administered for most part by Historic Environment Scotland, an executive agency of the Scottish Government. Between 1296 and 1341, the castle was twice captured by English invaders and twice retaken by Scots. It honors its military tradition in the Scottish National War Memorial, opened in 1927, and National War Museum, opened in 1933. Edinburgh Castle is now one of the Scotland's top tourist sites. The lady listened to her radio headphone and reached the military prison and Royal Scots Museum. And from there she has seen many torture scenes in the museum. The castle has seen many horrible executions of unfortunate persons found guilty in the ignorant intolerance of times of witchcraft. During the 16th century, a tide of paranoia swept over Britain in the form of the witchcraft trials. By all accounts, they were not trials at all, as it was more often than not a foregone conclusion that the accused would be killed in horrific fashion. After seeing the mannequin of the Big Piper, the lady reached the war memorial of the castle. As you can see, she has seen burning witches, torturing prisoners, botched escaped attempts, and royal treason, etc., etc. The castle has witnessed its fair share of death, misery, and melancholy over the centuries. One tunnel is also viewed. You can see white patches on the tunnel. Also, accused were killed in horrific fashion. After seeing all this, the lady has reached the Crown Square, which is also known as the Palace Yard, during the reign of King James III. This square is formed by the Royal Palace to the east, the Great Hall to the south, the Queen Anne's building to the west. She is standing and watching the Royal Palace. There on the wall we can see the emblematic representation of the Scotland. The last monarch to stay here overnight in the castle was Charles I in 1633. Over the century, the castle walls were used to hold prisoners of war during several conflicts. During the 7 Years' War in 1756 to 1763, the American War of Independence 1775 to 1783, the Napoleon Wars 1803 to 1815, etc. During this time, several new buildings were erected within the castle, including Power Magazine Store, the Governor House, and the new barracks for the army personnel.